Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. So, 2 days ago, as of this recording, which is going up the same day, uh, Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter, had dumped a shit ton of documents onto the public saying, here's your proof that censorship was happening by Twitter officials. And so I picked an article that I feel like most people would be like, okay, this seems legit. There was Fox News, there was something of India, New York Post, and I know if I use any of those three, people would go, no, those are right wing. The Hill, however, people seem to think is pretty unbiased. Um, so let's just go through this article and then we'll do like a mini prediction, I guess. But this article and plus the thread revealed that there were back channels, connections between Twitter officials, Biden's campaign, and the DNC to, of course, ban critics and remove negative stories from the public to give Biden an edge. Those seeking to discuss this scandal, the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, documents had it labeled as it was handled, and nothing else was to be said. The New York Post, who was the first website to announce or break this scandal, was banned from Twitter or suspended for reporting on it. And even Twitter itself, which was, considered a conspiracy theory for a long time, because, Tim Pool said it, even though he's not a conspiracy theorist. Guess what? That was true. They were blocking users from sharing the post with other people with using a tool that was designed for child pornography, which is the strangest fucking thing. Um, Multiple people were suspended for this. A lot of people just talking about, hey, you know, um, there's, um, sorry, I'm tired. Of course, there are Twitter officials saying this was a mistake, blah blah blah, but the documents say otherwise. The Russian disinformation claim was always never particularly credible. Um, U.S. intelligence quickly rejected it as disinformation. There was no evidence of a hack or Russian conspiracy. Musk's dumped Twitter documents not only confirm the worst expectations of some of us, but feature many of the usual suspects for Twitter critics. The documents do not show a clear role or knowledge by former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey. Instead, the censor-in-chief appears to be Vijaya Gad, Twitter's former chief legal officer, who has been criticized as a leading anti-free speech figure in social media. That is weird. Like, The Hill never uses the term free speech when it comes to Twitter. It's usually like your right-wing documents. Like The Hill typically just says like hate speech or um, you know, something you'd see off CNN. So it's interesting seeing them call it free speech, a free anti-free speech figure. There's also James Barker or Baker, the controversial former FBI general counsel involved in the Bureau's Russia collusion investigation. He left the FBI and became Twitter's deputy general counsel. Some Twitter execs expressed unease with censoring the story, including former global communications VP Brandon Borman, who asked, "Can we truthfully claim that this is part of the policy?" Baker jumped in to support censorship and said, "It's reasonable for us to assume that they may have been hacked and that caution is warranted." Baker thus comes across as someone who sees a Russian in every Rorschach ink blot. I have no idea how to pronounce that. There was no evidence that the post's Hunter Biden material was hacked. None. Yet Baker found a basis for a reasonable assumption that Russians or hackers were behind it because he's insane. He's a cultist, just like the people on the right. Many people recognize the decision for what it was. A former Twitter employee reportedly told journalist Matt Taibbi he was the man who dropped these leaks on Twitter, and he's like Elon Musk's like chief of staff right now, I think. Hacking was the excuse, but within a few hours, pretty much everyone realized that wasn't going to hold. Obviously, bias in the media is nothing new to Washington. Newspapers and networks have a long-run interference for favorite politicians or parties. However, this was not a case of media company spiking its own story to protect the PAL. It was a social media company that supplies a platform for people to communicate with each other on political, social, and personal views. Social media is now more popular, blah, blah, blah. Censoring communications on Twitter is more akin to the telephone company agreeing to cut connection of any caller using disfavored terms, and at that apparent request of the 2020 Biden campaign and DNC. So essentially, there's some corruption shit going on. Now, I know I have a lot of Democrats who follow me, and I know that the Democrats may unsubscribe because, I'm revealing this. They don't want to believe it. Even though I'm pretty sure most of the Democrats that subscribe to me are actually like pretty moderate, kind of populist. Maybe like I do have some like far left progressives in there, but they're not like resist libs or anything. They're like pretty chill. So I mean, these people still support Biden. You guys will still support Biden, but like these people will also agree that this was wrong, and but those like that's what I'm trying to say. But of course, this was requested by the Biden campaign. I don't think it was Joe Biden himself. I don't think Biden had anything to do with it. Probably like, top advisors or people connected to those said advisors reached out to Twitter. DNC, I can definitely see the DNC chairman, not James Harrison, the person beforehand. Absolutely. Like, if not like someone up in the hierarchy of the DNC, because like lower tier like DNC like many people can't get away with can't like convince people to do shit like this. Like you have to be up the upper echelon to do it. So maybe not the chair, maybe vice chair, secretary, whatever, but definitely. The internal company documents released by Musk's reinforce what we have seen previously in other instances of Twitter censorship. A recent federal filing revealed a 2021 email between Twitter execs and Carol Crawford, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's digital media chief. Crawford's back-channel communication sought to censor other unapproved opinions, that's a quote, on social media. So essentially, all that quote-unquote conspiracy theories of people be like, about, medications can do this with COVID, blah, blah, blah. A lot of like actual doctors, people who had degrees, had their doctorates and shit saying, hey, we should do this. They were being censored and canceled and all that fun stuff because, it wasn't the main opinion of Fauci and his lapdog crew. Twitter replied that with our CEO testifying before Congress this week, it is tricky. At the time, Twitter's Dorsey and other tech CEOs were about to appear at a House hearing to discuss misinformation on social media and their content modification policies. I had just testified on private censorship and circumventing the First Amendment as a type of censorship by surrogates. Dorsey and the other CEOs were asked about my warning of a little brother problem, a problem which private entities do for the government that which it cannot legally do for itself. In response, Dorsey insisted, we don't have a censoring department. That's a lie. So technically Jack Dorsey could be tried for what's it called? Plagiary. No, not plagiary. It's lying under oath. That word. For lying under oath to Congress. He could be tried for that. He's not going to because, he's rich. And that's how this country works, sadly. But if technically he could be tried for lying to Congress, and it really just depends on the evidence that comes out. Did he know about it? Because this report did say that Dorsey potentially had no idea about it, and that it was like lower people down that was doing it, and Dorsey just didn't know. So that could, save him because he was technically telling the truth. He wasn't aware of a censorship department, so that's what he said. But of course there was one, but he didn't know about it, according to this article. The implications of these documents become more serious once the Biden campaign became the Biden administration. These documents show a back channel existed with President Biden's campaign officials. Like I said earlier, probably lower tier people or top advisors. But those same back channels appear to have continued to be used by the Biden administration officials. Oh no. Oh no. I'm reading this for the first time as y'all are. I read the Twitter, the thread on Twitter. But this is the first time reading this document. And oh boy, if this is true, phew, fucking hell. I don't even want to think about it. If so, that would be when Twitter may have gone from a campaign ally to a surrogate for state censorship. Oof. As I have previously written, the administration cannot censor critics and cannot use agents for that purpose under the First Amendment. That is precisely what Musk is now alleging. As the documents were being released, he tweeted, Twitter acting by itself to suppress free speech is not a First Amendment violation, but acting under orders from the government to suppress free speech with no judicial review is. The incumbent Republican House majority has pledged to investigate, and Musk has made that process far easier. So, okay, so it's, yeah, so essentially, it seems like the Hunter Biden investigation is actually becoming a lot more needed than what I originally thought, because Republicans campaigned on, the economy and all that. Now they're just investigating Hunter Biden. At first, I was like, fuck, deal with the economy. Now I'm like, okay, it's needed. So this might turn into a hellfire. I hope this doesn't turn into another January 6th situation or January 6th committee situation where it's clearly a witch hunt. It's probably going to be a witch hunt, even though there's clear evidence right here. But let's talk about a prediction, shall we? That's what you're here for. So now this is going to be a prediction because it's going to be, now that Twitter is no longer censoring Republicans, even though other media platforms and, news sources are still censoring Republicans and conservatives. Actually, it's censoring anyone not part of the establishment. Let me rephrase myself. That's still going to be a boost to Republicans and Donald Trump, because Democrats barely won in 2020 with everything they had going for them. And they barely won in 2022, kinda, with everything going for them. Kinda. I'll explain more in a little bit. And I'm also going to be adding the potentiality of what if Republicans start doing ballot harvesting, busing voters to the polls, as well as using drop boxes. Same thing with Democrats do in places where it's legal. Because Republicans still do very well for themselves, despite not using those campaign strategies that Democrats have used, which led them to gaining in the Senate and barely losing the House. Because 2022, very good year for Democrats, considering, So if Republicans started using that, like we saw in California, Florida, New York, and maybe other places that I'm not aware of, we could see a Republican domination, potentially. We're going to go through this map and figure it out. I honestly believe that of course, that all really depends on if Donald Trump and the Republicans can convince, low propensity voters, I think it's called, to come out again. Because, there was a poll that said 44% of people would vote third party between Trump and Biden. Of course, that's a garbage poll, but still. But we're just going to go through the map. Washington, probably safe. We're probably going to see, of course, you have to take in consideration that the RNC, no matter who the chairperson is, whether it's McDaniel, Zeldin, or Lindell, yes, including Lindell, Republicans are probably going to start using all these, drop boxes and ballot harvesting and all that fun stuff, because without it, they won't win. And it's like a lot of Republicans say that, a lot of right-wingers, far-right people, and it's true. Like, you hate to admit it, but it's true. Oregon, probably around 10 to 11 points. I could see it becoming competitive. It really, it's a place where, the Oregon GOP and the RNC see how much they connect and try to get as many voters out. Of course, Republicans might not do ballot harvesting and drop boxes in every state, which honestly they should. They might just do it in swing states, which might make them even more of a regional party than they already are. California, we'll probably see Biden win that by around 22 to 23 points. Of course, it'll be a rightward shift. Nevada, Laxalt actually would have won in 2020 or 2022, if it wasn't for the fact that Democrats were ballot harvesting and doing the Dropbox technique in rural Nevada. And rural Nevada shifted just enough to where, even though Washoe and Clark trended red, the rurals trended enough to the left where Cortez Masto could have won. So if Republicans do the same thing that Democrats are doing, especially without the censorship anymore, we might see Nevada go 1 to 2 points to Donald Trump. Arizona, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Kerry Lake, nor Blake Masters was doing the whole drop ballot harvesting technique, is what I'm now going to call it, which led to Masters getting beaten by a likely margin and Lake barely losing. I'm going to say Trump barely wins, because the difference between Masters and Lake, those two would have definitely won if they did it. Trump's a different story, because he's just hated with a fucking passion by Arizona Republicans, or not just Republicans, just, Arizonans in general. It would still be competitive, in my opinion. Hawaii, that would still be safe, probably around 25 to 26 points. Alaska, that would be safe Republican, 12 to 13. Utah, all these safe red states would stay red, of course. All of these districts, Biden would still win. Nebraska second. Again, it really depends on how effective Republicans are with the drop boxes. Actually, I'm going to say tilt Biden because without the censorship, these moderate independent voters would probably not want to vote for Biden at the end of the day, considering he's kind of corrupt. The whole like state government censorship, the state censorship, if it does become like a major scandal, it might, but I'm not 100% sure. I think this will affect the race in a small way instead of a large way. Colorado, that would still be safe for Biden, probably hits 15%. New Mexico, probably likely, probably 5 to 6 on the lower scale of likely. Kansas, that probably goes safe because, you know, doing drop boxes and all that fun stuff in rural Kansas will definitely help. And rural America, just in general, you do a lot better. Oklahoma, I think Texas would be safe, honestly. You do drop boxes in Rio Grande Valley, which pretty much was where Hispanic turnout was very low. If you can get these Hispanic voters to come out, turn out for Republicans, maybe do better in the suburbs, maybe you probably put Texas in at least 10-point victory for you. Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, you know, all these safe red states will go. If I can stop clicking on Tennessee, that'd be great. Indiana will be safe. South Carolina as well. In Iowa and Ohio will both be safe. Again, doing the whole ballot harvesting thing, Republican turnout will skyrocket. And it's amazing that it's like Republican turnout gets as high as it does without, you know, ballot harvesting and all that. However, maybe Republicans shouldn't run on vote early and vote often because that could be taken in the wrong way. You know, if you say vote often, you know, the media and the Democrats could be like, oh, Republicans are telling people to vote multiple times. Just, you know, just be careful with that. You got to be careful with what the fuck you say. Florida, that would be safe. Pretty much, DeSantis won by 19. If Trump can get, if Republicans can do the same thing they did with DeSantis to Trump, Trump wins the state by at least 10. Georgia, that one's a toughie. Because I actually think ballot harvesting is illegal in Georgia, so I think Georgia probably goes to Biden by around a point or two. North Carolina, we're probably going to see Trump win that by a lean margin, about 3 to 4 points. Virginia, likely Biden. Again, Youngkin's victory was because of ballot harvesting and getting people to turn out as early as possible, as well as getting as many people to turn out on election day as well. Probably Biden wins by around 8 or 9 points. Illinois, that goes safe. Probably goes below 15%, however. Minnesota, technically I'd have it likely, but I think it'd be lean because ballot harvesting, you can ballot harvest in the Iron Range. You know, that area is trending red. A lot slower now. Southern Minnesota, Western Minnesota, those 3 areas, you need those. You need to get out as many voters as you can to, you know, outpace the Twin Cities. However, I think Biden still wins by around 2 to 3 points. Wisconsin, I think Trump probably does better than Johnson. He probably wins by around 3 to 4 points, does better with the white working class counties here, as well as the WOW counties, as well as Wisconsin's tail right here. Again, does very well enough if you know, bring out voters. Because there are a lot of Republican voters in the state of Wisconsin, and Democrats are pretty much doing it too. So, and of course, Democrat turnout isn't, you know, great or anything. You know, people are still not wanting to vote, even though Democrats are using these tactics. So it's not going to say that Republicans will do any better. But it's a hypothetical, of course. Michigan, the Democrats are more than likely going to terraform the shit out of Michigan. And it's probably going to start trending to the left, but we have to wait and see. I think Michigan goes tilt D due to the terraforming that is about to happen. You might be, and Pennsylvania is probably also going to begin terraforming as well. However, I think Trump might narrowly pull it off. Again, like Oz would have won if, you know, if he matched Trump's rural turnout in 2020 or 2016 even. He'd won much larger if he matched 2016 Trump numbers. But 2020 Trump numbers, Oz would have won by around like a point or so. But I think Trump probably wins by a tilt margin. Of course, Biden's got the whole eastern side of Pennsylvania locked down for him. He's very popular there, kind of, on an electoral sense, I mean. New York, that would be a lot closer. Probably under 15, but above 10. Vermont stays blue no matter what. New Hampshire would actually go lean, even if like you ballot harvested in New Hampshire. Republicans like just can't appeal to these people in New Hampshire. Like you really need like a libertarian type of Republican to do well here, and Trump is anything but libertarian. I can guarantee to you that much. Maine's first goes safe for Biden. Maine's second goes back to safe for Republicans. You probably see Maine at large go lean, probably about 2 points. Again, Maine's also a hard state to flip for Republicans. Like, again, future videos coming up, and how Republicans could win here. Now we have the Northeast. Massachusetts probably goes safe. This is a hot take. I think Rhode Island, Connecticut. Actually, scratch that now. Now, I remembered how they voted in 2020. They'd still be safe. However, they'd both be under 15. New Jersey would be likely 100%. It'd be around 6 to 7 points for Trump. Delaware stays safe for Biden as his home state. Maryland, Trump might actually, or Biden might actually improve here because of how much he's campaigned here. He's spending a lot of time in Maryland trying to get that record of biggest electoral victory. And DC is going to go tilt date. It's going to go tilt date because, you know, there's not. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm not even going to. So without the whole censorship, a lot of there was a poll that came out that I don't remember what the percentage was. I think it was like 5% or so of Biden voters would not have voted for him if they had known about the Hunter Biden laptop scandal and if it wasn't censored. So Biden probably would have lost 2020 if Twitter did not censor that story. So I don't know. Like I know I have a good feeling that there's going to be an impeachment coming soon, and it's not going to result in Dick Diddley. I swear to Jesus Christ. But this would be my prediction if Republicans ballot harvested. They might actually do a little bit better than this, but I don't know. It's still going to be competitive. And the fact that, you know, we have this Hunter Biden laptop scandal, actually, you know, the Biden Twitter scandal coming up. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Chaotic One saying peace.